I am in the most desperate moment of my life. I'm shaking with every ounce of blood in my body. I can't even bring myself to cry. I look up fearfully with a stiff face. In front of me are the divorce papers, and my husband, with a worried smile on his face, insulting me and my parents. I knew I deserved a woman who was highly educated and classy. At least not a woman who inherited her parents' genes from a middle school graduate. You are useless. You are nothing but a piece of trash to me. You are a high school graduate with no job, a middle school graduate father who works for a company I've never heard of, and an unemployed mother with no job. I'm not going to support this family with my hard-earned money. My husband's attitude changed as soon as we got married. He only thinks of me as an outlet for his stress. But I still believed in him. Taking care of the house was the only thing I could do for him. But one word from me led to the end of our relationship. It must have been humiliating for him to be confronted by me, a high school graduate, no matter what. How did this happen? All I wanted was to make a happy family. In spite of my apologies, I knew that the husband I loved was gone. Anger, sadness, hopelessness. I was still in tears, unable to sort out my feelings. At that time, I knew nothing. I didn't know what would happen to my pathetic husband, who could only judge people by their educational background. My name is Kara. My dream has always been to be a mother. From my early age, I looked up to my own mother. I wanted to get married as soon as possible, have children, and become the ideal mother. In the morning, I would wake up my husband and children, who slept late. I would prepare a delicious breakfast for them and make sure they had plenty to eat. I soak up the happiness of watching them and see them off with a smile. I would clean the house, prepare snacks for the kids, and think about what to have for dinner. When my husband comes home, we all take a bath and eat dinner together, kissing the kids goodnight and going to sleep every night so they don't get anxious. This is the kind of life I dreamed of. I talked about this with all the boyfriends I've ever had. If I got married in the future, they all said it was too much for them and dumped me. That's understandable. I guess they thought I was naive, that they couldn't be that responsible. But I never gave up on my dream. I kept being honest with them. Then I met Evan at a party I was invited to by chance.
Kara, I think your dream is awesome. I'm the type of guy who wants my wife to focus on housework when I get married. I will be too happy if I had a lovely wife like you, Kara, waiting for me at home with kids.
I felt I was destined to be with this man who smiled at me like that. Soon, we started dating. I found him to be very fun and reliable. That there were some things that made him seem a little obsessive. One time when I served him a meal at my house,
maybe a little too much carbs. I like to eat more protein, you know. Put that in mind next time, okay?
And one day when we were out taking a walk together, a kid bumps into him and the kid apologized.
Hey, did you play in the sandbox? Damn, I got a little dirty. Don't worry, kid. I'm not gonna ask you to bring your parents over. But some adults can be really scary, you know? You better watch out. Got it?
I felt my husband was a bit mean in the way he said it, but I believed he was a nice, kind, and reliable guy. I decided to marry him after 6 months of knowing him. My father had a somewhat unconvinced look on his face. My mother agreed, saying if it would make me happy. My husband's parents accepted me as well. We got married and became a couple. I quit my job and spent every day doing housework. Every day, I was living my dream. I accepted all his criticism of my cooking and housework as great advice for a happy marriage. However, I began to think in a corner of my mind that maybe love is blind, or maybe it was a little too soon to marry him.
Kara, I'm home. I'm exhausted. My parents, my business partner complained to me again. It's really pissing me off. When I complained about it, my junior colleague said it was my fault too. What a jerk.
I see. It must have been tough. Thank you for working every day. Please tell me whatever you want. I'm a good listener, you know.
What? No, you don't know anything about having a job, do ya? It's not like you've been in a business much. Oh, my bad. You have been in the business longer than me. You started working after graduating from high school. Sorry.
There he goes again. Ever since we got married, my husband has always made fun of me for having a high school diploma. My parents had prepared for my college education, but I wanted to return my favor to my parents by working hard and becoming an independent member of society. My husband graduated from a well-known university with high standards. He has been bragging about his high education ever since we started dating. He was also very proud of the big company he was working for. Working for a prestigious company is something you can't do without hard work. So I respected him for that. That's why I married him. And when we were dating, he didn't disrespect me that much. My husband must be under a lot of stress.
Well, since you are a stay-at-home wife, I'll teach you what it's like working in a huge company.
With that, my husband blurted out his complaints. In short, he said that his subordinates and the people in charge of his clients pointed out the mistake he made, and he didn't like the fact that they were all younger than him.
They've got a lot of nerve taking shots at me.
My husband's only been with the company for 3 years, so he's not that much older than them. That's what I thought as I listened.
Hey, are you listening to me? I'm trying to talk to you even though I'm tired. Can't you even make conversation pleasant?
I'm listening. I'm sorry. But they are almost the same age as you, aren't they? I just thought you could improve each other's as a team, you know?
What? Why are you giving me an opinion? Why are you talking over me like I'm not good enough?
That's not what I meant.
You should be thankful that I married you, even though you only graduated from high school. Don't you know how to respect your husband?
I regretted that I said anything to him. Whenever I say something he doesn't like, he verbally attacks me. As you can imagine, I'm getting a little tired of it. My father's face suddenly flashed through my mind. My husband grimaced and said something even more unforgivable.
Well, a middle school graduate like your father can only produce such a foolish daughter. A middle school graduate can only work at a local small business. Your dad's pathetic. Isn't he about to retire, isn't he? Do small businesses offer retirement benefits? I can't see myself living a life of normal people with just a little money. Well, don't worry. Mine is a big company. I'm getting a big retirement bonus.
Enough! You can make fun of me all you want, but please don't make fun of my father. I know you are under a lot of stress, but don't make it on me. I never get angry no matter what he says to me. But when he said that about my father, I lost my temper. I couldn't allow him to insult my father, who had worked so hard for the family. I said what I wanted to say and ran out of the house with my cell phone. The word divorce crossed my mind. But the crisp winter air cleared my anger-driven mind a little. I wanted to hear my voice, father. I wanted to hear my father's voice. So I tried to call him, but I was afraid that I might worry him. I walked around in a daze, worrying. I found myself a long way from home. I will apologize to my husband when I get home. We've only been married for a few months. The fight we had today is just a blimp in what will be a long future. Something much worse could happen. I can't marry anyone if I'm thinking about getting divorced over something like this. When I arrived home, my husband was already asleep. Tomorrow is his day off, and I will make him all the meals he likes. And I would apologize. With that thought, I also went to sleep. In the morning, my husband woke up and left with a grumpy look on his face. He didn't mention what had happened yesterday, but I guess he was still feeling awkward. As I was making lunch, thinking about how I should apologize again, he came home. Hi, honey. I'm sorry. I was so rude to you yesterday. I'll make you a lot of your favorite dishes today, so feel free to request anything.
Whatever. Sit down. We need to talk. Then he quickly put a piece of paper in front of me.
What? Isn't this?
Yeah. You recognize it. It's a divorce petition. Yesterday, it became clear to me that you and I don't much.
I felt the chill, as if all the blood in my body had drained out of me. Had I been so hard on my husband that he wanted a divorce? I couldn't say anything, so I kept silent, and he opened his mouth.
I've been thinking about it, since you left yesterday. I knew that a high school graduate wife with a middle school graduate parents who works for a small business was no match for me. I married you because you were kind of cute, and I thought you would be at my beck and call. But I didn't realize you are such a useless one. I tried to talk, but I couldn't speak. I should have gotten down on my knees and asked him to forgive me. I shouldn't have said anything back. As if to push me away, my husband continued. Well, I'm sure there are more intelligent and refined women out there who are more suitable for me. Don't worry about me. I'll remarry soon. You will have a hard time now that I'm no longer your breadwinner. You are a high school graduate with no job, with a middle school graduate father, and an unemployed mother. I don't want to have to support a bottom-feeding family like this with the money I earn.
My husband smirked and fluttered the divorce papers in front of me.
You should look up divorce procedures on the internet. You could at least do that, right? Oh, I'll give you the house. It's in your name anyway. Bye.
With that, he left with his belongings, which were probably already packed. My head is all messed up. I don't know what to do anymore. All I wanted was to get married, have children, and live happily ever after. I just wanted my father to see his grandchildren. I don't know how I got into this mess. I looked at the untouched meal I had prepared for my husband and cried out loud. I felt so hopeless. If I could go back to yesterday's fight, I would. I should have smiled and listened to him like I always do. I clutched the divorce papers and cried for a long time. After all, my husband didn't come home. After a few days, when I felt a little better, I started to look into divorce proceedings. I went back to my parents' house for the time being. While I was in a daze, I received a call on my cell phone.
Oh, Kara? Can I meet your father? I'd like to talk to him. I didn't know that the company he works for was so famous.
I knew it. He called. I was just thinking over the past few days and that my ex-husband must be in a lot of trouble right now. The company my father works for is a long-established local publicity traded company that's pretty well known in the area. It just so happened that my father and a friend from work were talking about my divorce. I had mentioned my ex-husband's behavior towards me as a topic of conversation. Sure enough, my father's friends who were close to us were offended. They even contacted me out of concern. The rumor kept spreading, and to my surprise, they reached the company where my ex-husband worked. It was affecting my ex-husband's position at the company. I heard that he was trying to make me the bad guy about this divorce. But when the board members heard the rumors and confronted him, he relented and told them the truth. My ex-husband was even considered for disciplinary action by the company. I was sure he would come crying to me. But I didn't care about my ex-husband anymore. I was more impressed by my father's ability to build relationships with integrity. I had a newfound respect for him. My father was the one who was most surprised, actually.
So, I am in trouble. You understand it, right? Your husband, the man you love so much, is in trouble. If your father would just talk to me, this will all be over. And then we'll be together again. And if you want, you can bring your father to live with us, you know. We'll make it as good as it was, if not better. You want me with you, don't you? No one's gonna take you, a high school graduate, and an employed woman like you, anyway.
What? What are you talking about? First of all, we are divorced. We're already strangers. Wouldn't it be great if you lose your job, you don't have to make any mistakes, and people won't point them out? You're not gonna be under any stress. Good for you. And I have a job, you know. I'm making a good living, thank you very much. I don't have to care about your stupid idea of educational backgrounds. And I don't have to be made fun of anymore. I am very content every day. I mean, why don't you rely on the person you are cheating on me with? I'm not the one you should rely on, am I?
What are you talking about?
My ex-husband got flustered and clumped up. The day my ex-husband confronted me for the divorce paper and left me, after I had cried a lot, it occurred to me. He left me so easy. It was a woman's intuition or some kind of a gut feeling. I wondered if there was a possibility that he was cheating on me. I immediately hired a private detective. Soon after, they found a lot of evidence, and I decided to divorce him. I prepared everything I could to get everything I could. Anyway, I know all about it. I'm going to file a claim for alimony against you and your partner. Moreover, if you are going to ask for a favor, you should have a way of asking for it. Well, I guess you are the type of person who can't do that. I don't want to be with someone like that. It's a waste of my time. Why did I hang on to this guy? If I could go back in time, I would like to slap myself for letting you deceive me like that.
What the hell, Kara? Who do you think you are?
It's all your father's fault for being a middle school graduate.
Don't talk to me like that. I'll sue you for libel. Don't underestimate me. Prepare yourself.
With that, he hung up. That night, my ex-husband visited my parents' house. My ex-husband started cursing my father and me and making a scene. My mother called the police and submitted the recording I had made. When my ex-husband called me earlier that day, my mother told me to record it. That was immediately reported to my ex-husband's company, and he was dismissed from his job. When I asked for alimony at that time, my ex-husband came to my parents' house again and went on a rampage. He was taken to the police again for vandalism and was finally charged. He won't be able to get out for a while. After a while, I bought an apartment with the money that had been paid to me. My parents took the opportunity to sell the house and move into a nice apartment as well. Retirement benefits are just a system. Not a few companies don't offer it. My mother, not knowing what the future would bring, started building assets early on. When she came to realize it, it was a considerable amount of assets. I think it's foolish to assume that people don't have money just because of their educational backgrounds. Even if your father retires, it won't matter at all. We have plenty of savings, my mother said with a big smile on her face. Not only my father, but also my mother is great. What wonderful parents I was blessed with. It is fact that my marriage was a failure. But if you ask me if it was all misfortune, it wasn't. I learned a life lesson. I can't even think about marriage right now. But if I meet a wonderful person someday, I hope to make a wonderful couple like my father and mother.
How dumb can you be? But Betty, don't you dare call me by my name, you scum! I'm hated by my mother-in-law, although she is a mother of my love. When I lost my parents, I swore to love my in-laws. Contrary to my promise, my relationship with Betty isn't going well, and if anything, it's only causing me more pain. I wonder how this started. I didn't get married to spend a life in this way. Bullied by my mother-in-law, but I can't tell my husband, and I'm mentally reaching my limit. What saved me is the appearance of an unexpected person. My name is Maya, 28 years old. I graduated from a state university with a nursing degree and followed in my mother's footsteps to be a nurse. Growing up, watching her work in the hospital, I dreamed of helping many patients one day. I had good knowledge of medicine, so my friends often consulted me about their health. On one occasion, I gave first aid to a passenger who collapsed at the train station and called an ambulance. It was all thanks to my mother's strong sense of justice that I inherited. It was my belief that if someone was in trouble, I didn't hesitate to give assistance. 2 years after I became a nurse, my mother suddenly passed away from a heart attack. In a single-parent household, my mother was more important to me than anything else. I couldn't even repay her for raising me single-handedly. When I found the job, I thought I would give back to her little by little. Just then, she was gone. After my mother died, I hated everything, and I even thought about quitting the job I loved so much. In the end, I didn't quit because of him. It was Cam, my husband. When I just started working, he was a rehab outpatient. He was somewhat easy to talk to, and I could interact with him without feeling self-conscious. He didn't have any major illnesses, which worked in our favor too. He was light-hearted and gentle, yet dependable. Eventually, he asked me for my number, and we started seeing each other on a regular basis. We got married after 2 years of dating. I got a new family after I had been lonely without my own. I was losing hope, but his presence made me want to try again. However, the marriage wasn't all happy. I was bothered by something right after I started my new life. That caused my trouble was my mother-in-law Betty. She was far out from the mother figure I envisioned. Initially, Ken and I were living together in his apartment. About 2 weeks into our honeymoon, Betty paid a surprise visit. She told me, "Maya, I'm not feeling so well these days." I was obliged to listen because I knew she was relying on me as a nurse. "Oh no, what's exactly wrong?" "Not really about my health, but I'm concerned about my living situation. My husband and I are alone, so I worry if anything happens." "Well, when you need help, you can always call me." "But maybe we get worse while calling you. Maybe we die while waiting." If it comes to that, you need to call an ambulance." Then she gave me a bright smile and uttered unexpected words. "So Maya, let's live together." "What?" It was such a sudden request that I didn't know how to reply. She continued talking cheerily, while I was just flabbergasted. "You're a nurse, so I feel safe when something happens." "Wait, I can't decide on such a big thing right away." No, I'm not telling you to move in now. But I'm not getting younger, so it's better sooner than later." "I see. You'll be freed from paying rent, so isn't it better for you too? Please think about it." She left looking satisfied. Since then, I received numerous calls from her asking about the move. I thought about consulting Ken, but he happened to be in the middle of the peak season at work and didn't seem to have time to discuss such an important matter. Just as I was contemplating, he mentioned, My mom told me, but are we supposed to move in with her sometime?" "Really?" "She sounded quite happy about it. She said she felt safe having you with her." "Wait a minute. She's getting carried away on her own." "Oh yeah? We both work, so I think it's not a bad idea. Your housework will be lighter, you know." He had a point. Having a double income was financially beneficial, but the chores became poor. I often had no energy to cook dinner after work, so I prepared TV dinners or had takeaways. Ken always said he didn't mind, but I was skeptical. Once I started thinking about it, more and more concerns piled up in my mind. I came to think that it might be best to move in with the in-laws for him. As a result, I reluctantly agreed to Betty's request. Thus, just 2 months after our marriage, we started living with my in-laws. At first, Betty treated me as kindly as she could. "Thank you so much for moving in with us. We are grateful to have an excellent daughter-in-law like you. I will take up the chores so you can focus on your work now." That being said, part of me expected that my life was going to be easier. But in reality, instead of becoming easier, what awaited me was living in hell. Just 1 week after I moved in, her attitude toward me took a drastic turn. She began discreetly bullying me. "Hey Maya, are you really going to depend on me for all housework?" "I don't intend to. I do cleaning and washing on my days off." "Huh. Who do you think you are? Isn't that a little unfair, you being a daughter-in-law?" "No, I don't mean to." "It's obvious. You put everything on my shoulders and just want to make money for yourself. So sneaky." My mouth was agape to hear such an accusation from her. Who said all the housework was going to be taken care of in the first place? Since then, I tried to help her as much as I could. I prepared breakfast and did laundry before going to work. If I got off work on time, I cooked dinner. Every time it was for Ken, Betty, and my father-in-law, the 4 of us. I had come to regret that my life with Ken alone was so much easier. As a nurse, my days off were random. Ken was a normal office worker, so our days off coincided only a few times a month. I was off on a weekday and planned to go out for the first time in a while that day. I finished the chores and went to find Betty in the living room. "Hey Betty, I'll be out for a bit." "What? Where do you think you're going?" "Just going to a mall. I have to buy a birthday present for my colleague. I'll be back soon." All of a sudden, Betty turned red, fuming. "What the hell did you say? Going shopping? You got a nerve for a daughter-in-law." Once she became hysterical, it was out of my control. She lost her temper and lashed out at me with her personal point of view. "It's not fair that you get to go out. You can't even do your chores right, and you think you deserve to go out? If you have time to hang around, get to your housework." She showed such a temperament only in front of me, and acted so gently in front of Ken and her husband. Gradually, her hostility escalated, and she even began to complain about my work. I was pressured to quit my job just 4 months after moving in with her. When I spoke to Ken about my resignation, he was concerned, but I still couldn't tell him what was going on. I only said that I was worn out and needed a break, to which he agreed. I loved my challenging job, but I was mentally exhausted that I couldn't face my work properly. It was all a ploy by Betty. The next thing I knew, she was controlling all aspects of my life. Was I going to be her puppet as long as she lived? Was I going to let her dominate me forever? Although I struggled, she showed her malice only when we were alone. I planned to record her bullying for proof, but I got too nervous when it came down to it and didn't work out in the end. One day, she informed me that she was having her 6th birthday party at home. That was the day she told me. "Can you hold on and think for a minute?" I hastily tried to change her mind. "It's too crazy to prepare for a birthday party now." "What's crazy? You go and get a birthday cake and start cooking." "But..." "Hush, you jobless skunk! You're my slave. Do what I tell you. I already have invited my friends." She cheerfully changed into her elegant dress and began putting a lot of makeup on her face. If her friends were coming, failure to comply was not an option even more than usual. I hurried out to buy her cake and to a supermarket, and then rushed back and prepared salads and sandwiches and decorated the cake. When all was ready, Betty's friends started showing up. I was about to open the front door to welcome them in. "Stop! Don't you show your face to my friends, okay?" "But I should at least greet them." "No need of greeting from a jobless skunk, aka slave. Go and clean the hallway and the stairs. My friends would pass on the way to the bathroom." "Fine." I cleaned as she ordered. Then one of her friends, Wendy, popped her face out to the hallway and asked, "Hey Betty, who is that cleaning?" "Oh yeah, her. She's my daughter-in-law Maya." "Has she done some wrong to you?" "Not at all. She looks very eager." "Eager? No way. She had to be ordered to clean by me." Wendy was a name I had heard quite often from Betty. I continued to polish the hallway, feeling my face burning in shame at the thought of exposing my abomination to her friends. Seeing me like that, Wendy asked again, "Hey Betty, how long are you gonna make her do that?" "Until it becomes immaculate and everyone arrives." "But it's like..." "Don't worry, Wendy. She's more like a slave than a daughter-in-law." As soon as she mentioned the word, the room fell silent. While everyone seems to be taken aback, she looked down and started yelling at me, probably to show off her status. "How useless are you?" "But Betty..." "Don't you dare call me by my name, you skunk!" "I'm sorry." I didn't understand why I was being treated this way in front of her friends. Then Wendy rushed toward us and slapped Betty's cheek. At that second, the status of Betty and me switched. Betty was trembling from shock and anger. "What did you do that for?" screamed at Wendy with a burning face. Wendy calmly answered, "I'm disappointed in you. I thought we were good friends. So why did you slap me? Such a savage act." "Who is a savage? You mistreat the person who saved my life so terribly." "Saved your life?" Betty stared at her dumbfoundedly. I was totally lost when Wendy smiled at me and said, "It's been a long time. You're the nurse, right? Do you remember me?" "I'm sorry, but have we met before?" "It's been a few years. You saved me at the train station." "Train station? Oh my god, that lady!" She was the one I assisted on a platform a while back. I remember giving first aid to her, who was unconscious at the time, and calling for an ambulance while frantically talking to her. I suppose she remembered the whole thing. She must have vaguely remembered my face and voice, and maybe asked the hospital about me later. I'd never imagined that I was going to meet her again in such a circumstance. I was surprised, but Wendy happily continued her story. "I thank you so much for your help. I still remember you holding my hand and talking to me until the paramedics arrived. I'm so glad that you made it. I owe it to you. I've been hoping to thank you in person, but never imagined you were in such a terrible condition." Her words prompted the other friends to coldly stare at Betty. When Betty noticed, her face immediately turned white. Desperately trying to regain her position, she raised her voice. "No, no, no! Don't take it wrong. Slave, but she initiated it on her will, and I've never told her to be one. Believe me." No matter how hard she tried to justify herself, no one believed her any longer. Wendy lashed out at her. "You're the worst kind to treat this honorable woman in such a terrible way. She's the wife of your precious son, isn't she? Yet you call her a slave? You have no compassion." "Wait, Wendy, I don't mean to." "Then how do you mean?" "I remember her thriving and glowing with full of life back then, and now she looks so pained. I have no doubt you took the life out of her. Apologize to her now. What are you waiting for?" Betty shed tears being scolded by Wendy, and resentfully apologized to me. The birthday party was a mess afterward. Everyone changed the way they looked at Betty. Discovering her true nature, they left one by one. Wendy stayed back and explained the whole ordeal to Ken and my father-in-law. All the facts came out, and Betty's malice was exposed. My father-in-law was outraged and immediately demanded a divorce. "Get out of here now!" he scolded Betty, who frantically apologized in tears. It had become an uncontrollable chaos. My father-in-law hired a divorce attorney the next day, and Betty was kicked out of the house. She had been a penniless housewife and lost her home and family at once. What kind of life she was going to lead from then on? I didn't want to imagine how miserable it was going to be, but I had no sympathy for her. She had planted the seed on her own. As for me, I still live with Ken and my father-in-law. I'm working once again and living a fulfilling life. Ken still seems to be remorseful. He must be feeling pretty responsible because he often speaks to me with a gloomy expression. "I'm really sorry, hon, about my mom." Let it go now. I got to meet Wendy anyway. "By the way, are you going to dinner with her soon?" "Yeah, she's taking me to her favorite restaurant." "Well then, let me pay for it." "Yes, thank you, hon." Wendy and I became good friends after the incident. I never thought that what I naturally did to help back then would turn around and come back to me in such a good way. I'm assured now that my way of life is not wrong. With this in mind, I will live on.
We're taking care of my niece, starting today.
Huh? What did you just say?
I said we're taking care of my niece here. You are a housewife, so you can take care of her too. Okay?
When my husband came home, I found the baby, his niece, in his arms. She's not very expressive, and even though she's only 5 months old, she doesn't drink much milk. When I asked him how my sister-in-law was taking care of her, he just said that I have to figure it out on my own. After a while, I called my mother-in-law to get her contact information. What she told me was something unexpected.
I see. So, that's what it is.
I finally understood what was going on. I'm his wife, and he's taking advantage of me. I'll show him what I can do. My name is Chloe. Before I was married to my husband Justin, I was a daycare teacher. I resigned from my job when I got married, and now I support my husband as a housewife. My husband Justin works for a startup company and leaves the house at 7 a.m. every morning. I thought that if possible, I wanted to continue working, save money until we have children. However, 1 month before we were to get married, he suddenly said,
Chloe, I'm sorry if this is selfish or me, but if we get married, will you quit your job and become a housewife?
What? A housewife? Why?
So you can focus on things around the house. I can work even harder if I'm comfortable at home.
Well, I think we should both keep working until we have kids.
I know, but I want my wife to stay at home. I'll give you enough money every month. So, what do you say?
There was no space for me to say no, because he was so serious. I always liked doing housework to begin with, so I just said yes. That's how I ended up becoming a full-time housewife upon my marriage. 2 years has passed since then, and for the second time in a row, I haven't received the money from my husband. I decided to talk to him about it over dinner. Hey, I need to pay the rent soon, and I'm thinking of going to the hairdresser tomorrow. So, can I have the money for this month?
Oh, about that?
Can you manage it with half the amount from now on? What? Why?
Well, my salary has gone down a little, so I can only give you less.
Is that so? How long?
I don't know. Just hold on for the time being, right? It should get back to normal soon.
Okay, got it. After that, even though I tried, I have to dip into my savings frequently. One day, I began to feel uncomfortable with my husband's behavior. At first, it didn't bother me, and I didn't think anything about it. My husband started working late because he wanted to increase his salary. He always came home before 7 p.m. But these days, he would always come home after 11 p.m. And then one day, my husband didn't come home until after midnight. I was so worried that I called him, but he didn't answer the phone at all. He had never been this unresponsive before. What if it was an accident? A bad premonition came over me, and my heart started to beat faster. If he doesn't come home by tomorrow morning, I'll call the police. Just as I was thinking that, I heard the front door open. I went running to the door as fast as I could to make sure my husband was safe. But then, my eyes were caught by an extraordinary sight. What? What is that baby? In my husband's arms was a tiny baby. I guess she was around 6 months old. But why would he be holding a baby? I had no clue. As I was totally puzzled, my husband said something I couldn't believe.
This is my niece. She's my sister's baby. We're going to take care of her from today.
What? What did you just say?
I said we're taking care of her here. Her name is Willow. She's 5 months old, I think. I'm counting on you, Chloe.
Hold on. Wait a minute. I don't understand this. My husband suddenly came home with a 5-month-old baby in his arm. He said she's my sister-in-law's child. But I believe my sister-in-law followed her husband on his job transfer and is now living in California. I had no idea what was going on. So I asked for an explanation. Hey, please, explain it to me. I thought your sister was in California for her husband's work.
Well, I heard they got divorced.
Divorced? Really? She came to our wedding with her husband. They seemed to get along so well. Getting a divorce when the baby is still 5 months old?
Don't ask me. I'm not them, you know. Anyway, my sister's divorced now and came back here for work. So she wants us to take care of Willow until her salary is stable.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. Is this for real? Wait, what about your mom? Would it be easier for your sister and the baby to stay with your parents? Then my husband opened his mouth with a stuttering voice and an expression of displeasure on his face.
Actually, my sister hasn't told her parents about the divorce yet. She said she will tell them herself when she gets settled.
What? But that doesn't mean we have to take care of the baby, right?
I know, but my sister is getting through a tough time. Besides, she left Willow with us for a reason.
What do you mean?
You were a daycare teacher, weren't you? So you are good with babies, right? And you are a housewife now. You have free time during the day.
What's that supposed to mean? I have free time because I'm a housewife? I don't get it.
You know what I mean? Come on, Chloe. Here.
My husband forced me to have the baby and snuck into the house. I thought we were going to talk about what to do now, but he started drinking beer without a care in the world. Justin, are you kidding me? I raised my voice and my niece Willow started to cry aloud. My husband didn't seem to help me at all, so I asked him in frustration.
Hey, where are the diapers? She's crying. I'll change her diaper and give her some milk. What's that? I don't bring anything.
Huh? You didn't keep any of her baby stuff from your sister?
I don't think so.
Are you kidding me? Then what the hell are you going to do with it?
I don't know.
My husband got upset and kept drinking his beer. I had no choice but to leave my niece with my husband and run to the 24-hour drugstore. I got her some diapers, baby formula, bottles, and wipes. Her skin looked so dry, I thought she might need some moisturizer too. I put them all in a basket and went through the checkout counter. I hurried home, changed her diaper, fed her, and gave her a bath. And she finally calmed down. I used to be a daycare teacher, so I can take care of the baby, okay. But I was still confused with the situation. At that point, it was already past midnight. While I was giving Willow a bath, my husband already went to bed. The next morning, when I saw that Willow was asleep, I woke my husband up. Hey, Justin, wake up. Huh? What is it? I was late last night. I need more sleep. Don't be silly. It's your day off. Willow needs some clothes. She doesn't have anything to put on. I'll go get them. So, watch her, okay? What? Why? It's getting colder. Why is she wearing only underwear? Don't tell me. My sister gave her to me like that. Don't be irresponsible. Anyway, I'll get her some in a hurry. So, don't let her out of your sight. I told my husband, who was still in bed, and I hurried to a nearby shopping mall. There I bought some clothes and toys and hurried home again. As I opened the front door, I heard Willow's cries. I rushed to the living room and found Willow on the sofa, crying hysterically. My husband was standing next to her, reading with his phone. He was enjoying watching a video alone, without paying attention to Willow's crying. What are you doing, Justin?
She suddenly started crying.
Why do you leave her alone then? You know she's crying so much. Don't you care enough to hold her or calm her down?
Why are you so angry? It's not a big deal. Now that you're home, give her some milk.
Huh? Don't make me do everything. I'm paying for everything out of my savings. Not only today, but for the past few months. Will you give me that money back?
Well, that's
enough. This situation is ridiculous. I'll talk to your sister directly. Give me her contact. I'm a former childcare worker, but there are some things I don't know. How much milk she drinks, how much sleep she gets, and what kind of things she likes. If I'm going to take care of Willow, I at least want to meet her needs and treat her responsibly. In order to do that, I need to know how my sister-in-law treated her. But when I asked my husband for her contact information, he refused to give it to me. After all, he became a little angry and he yelled at me.
Why do you have to ask my sister? Think for yourself.
What? Are you being serious? Willow is now in a place she's not used to. It's only fair to ask her mother what her lifestyle was like.
I don't give a shit about that. Regular feedings and diaper changes. That's all you need to know. Anyway, just do whatever you have to do until my sister comes to get her.
Seriously? What the hell, Justin? My husband sighed loudly and got up from the sofa. He grabbed his wallet and phone and walked out of the house. Unbelievable. So irresponsible. What is he thinking? When he was the one who took her home here. I need to take care of my niece in a safe and secure environment. I decided to contact my mother-in-law for help. Although my husband said she still didn't know about my sister-in-law's divorce, now is not the time to worry about that. After taking care of Willow and putting her to bed, I called my mother-in-law. Hello? Hi, it's me, Chloe. Oh, hi, Chloe. It's been a while. Willow, who had been sleeping, let out a small cry in response to my voice. My mother-in-law heard it and opened her mouth in surprise. Chloe, I just heard a baby crying. I'm sorry. That's why I called you today. I have some questions I'd like to ask you about this baby, Willow. Can you tell me your daughter's contact information? My daughter? I wonder what the baby has to do with my daughter. What? Because Willow is her child? That's what Justin said when he brought her home. No, that can't be true. My daughter has a girl, but she's already 3 years old. And my daughter's family is on an overseas trip. What? My mother-in-law's words messed up my mind. It's too different from what my husband told me. Oh, is your daughter divorced? When I asked her the most important question, she denied it with surprise. Divorced? No way. They just visited here last month for vacation. There's no way she's divorced. At the moment, the trust I had built up with my husband began to collapse. Everything he said about this niece was a lie. At the same time, I had a lot of bad thoughts in my head. My mother-in-law seemed to feel the same way and asked me in a trembling voice, "Chloe, then Justin brought the baby with him, right? And he told you it was his niece. Oh my gosh. I know. I'm sorry. I think I need to do some research. I don't expect the result would be very good. I know. I heard you. I'll keep my mouth shut until we know what we're dealing with." After I finished talking to my mother-in-law, I hurried to check the detective agency. With Willow there, I couldn't take the time to visit the agency in person. So I found out that I could request an investigation remotely. I immediately requested a background check on my husband. For a few weeks, I kept my composure. My husband was always home after midnight, as if he didn't want to see me. A week later, a representative from the agency came to my house with the result of the investigation. The result was something I had expected, of course. Sure enough, my husband was having an affair, and every night on his way home from work, he would stop by his partner's house. The detective told me that Willow was probably the child of the affair. My husband took advantage of the fact that I used to be a daycare teacher and left Willow with me because he didn't want the child to be disturbed. I couldn't stop being angry at my husband's selfish and despicable behavior. I waited for him to come home that day until after midnight. A few hours later, my husband showed up. I took the opportunity to say to him, "Welcome home. Did you enjoy your time with your mistress?" "What? What did you say? Mistress? What are you talking about? I already know everything." "What the?" I confronted him with the photo evidence of the affair. I could see his face turn pale and he was obviously upset. "When did you take those pictures?" "I called your mother to get your sister's contact information. She surprised me. Your sister has not divorced, and she's currently abroad with her 3-year-old daughter." No. This is... What? She's not divorced and she doesn't have a 5-month-old daughter? Is that right? Willow is yours, isn't she? You and the mistresses. Wait a minute. I'm being careful, you know. She tricked me. He was making up excuses, as if it's not his fault. She was the one who came on to me. I was just having fun. Nothing serious. I don't even know if Willow is really mine. My husband told me that in no uncertain terms and asked for my forgiveness. I was so disgusted by him that I felt nausea welling up inside me. I said to him forcefully, "You've got to be kidding me. You don't know if she's yours or not? Don't be irresponsible. Then get a DNA test or something and prove it. I'm telling you, even if it wasn't your child, I won't forgive you. You cheated on me and betrayed me." "Chloe, calm down. No, there's nothing more to talk. You betrayed not only me, but also your mother and sister. I apologize. I'm sorry. So please calm down." "Why should I calm down? You and your mistress don't even understand any parental responsibilities." My husband keeps apologizing over and over again with tears in his eyes. But it doesn't change my mind. This man has done the worst thing to me, his wife. It took a long time, but I divorced my husband. I also demanded alimony from his mistress and received a lump sum payment. Justin and his mistress got into debt because of the alimony. Because of that, they started arguing a lot, and eventually they terminated the relationship. Of course, his mother and sister didn't offer him any help. He lied and cheated on his wife and made her take care of the baby he made with another woman. No woman could forgive him for what he's done. As for Willow, she was taking care of at her mother's parents' house. When I was saying goodbye to her, Willow smiled at me for the first time. She's the child of my husband and the woman with whom he had an affair. Normally, I would have felt hatred for her, but strangely enough, I didn't. The child was innocent. It's the cheater who is to blame. I'm divorced and living alone now, but I still think of Willow from time to time. There may be times in the future when Willow will be in trouble because her parents are not around. But I hope that she will grow up strong and resilient in the face of hardship. That's all I can hope for now.